Welcome back. We are Ascend. This is Heroes of Hammerwatch 2, and we are currently playing as the Sorcerer. Now, last episode we were just below level 10. I think we were at 7 when I stopped recording. That has since changed. Rather significantly so, I might say. So, how do I begin? Well, it's awkward because I'm trying to figure out how to go over the things I've done, as well as cover the other things. Okay, let's start with the Warlock and its class promotions. I believe they were Soul, Chaos, and Summoner. So, I tried all 3 of the class promotions for the Warlock. It was not a good time. It was... How do I put it? Okay, I'll go through them in order. So I started with Summoner because, obviously, that was the one that really spoke to me. Unfortunately, Summoner is a massive mana hog that isn't worth the cost. The summons aren't particularly powerful without further upgrades, and if I can't see their value going forward just from the... I mean, of course, like you're seeing now, I wiped the early stages, no problem. So the summons themselves have no value here. I had to go I'm relaying this as part of what I did 2 episodes ago. So I won't be able to recall all of the information accurately, but I will still go about it as best I can. Doing the... I tried to take the summons into a deeper part of the level, or the run. No, into deeper parts of the mission, where the enemies were tankier, did more damage, the usual stuff. And their performance was not great, considering, I mean, sure, it only requires you have stacks of essence to be able to summon them. But, well, I mean, you need stacks. It consumes stacks to summon them. Without them, even if you do have mana, you can't summon. And you can summon a maximum of 10, each requiring 10 mana to summon. You don't need that much mana as a warlock. So if it's eating 100 and you don't have a build online yet that restores that 100 in pretty quick order, it's just an exercise in suffering that you will eventually lose. Don't worry, I'll go over what we're doing with this build and everything as soon as I finish relaying my disappointment in the class promotions for the Warlock. Spoilers alert, by the way. So, like I said, between the costs and the damage output and the survivability of the summons, Summoner is not great. It might be better with more investment, but if I can't see the value in it from the first 2 or 3 levels, as far as I'm concerned, it's just not good enough. Especially since, well, if they're eating your mana, they need to be effective. Because that's a resource that could just be put to use for your other abilities instead. You could just spam more of everything else if you have that mana. But if you're wasting it on summons that die in an instant, and I will be fair, they didn't die in an instant. Considering how much health they have and how much health you have even at the point where you can switch to that class, they have a pretty good amount of health. And I believe it was at level 5, they get 1200. So with a little more investment, I could just dump a bunch of points into the tree for the summons themselves, and they'd have 1200 health each, which is great. Now, I don't know if they have any other resistances that would help that 1200 health go further, because if not, they're basically just taking true damage from every single hit. Chance to block physical and ice damage when blocking a single shard from your... You gain a chance to block physical and ice damage when blocking a single shard. I don't understand what I'm reading. When blocking a single shard from your Frost Nova. What? There has to be 1 or 2 words in here that don't need to be here. Because I'm not understanding what I'm reading. If I don't understand what I'm looking at, and what it's supposed to do seems like it could be good, but if I don't understand what I'm reading, I don't know if I can actually utilize it properly. Which means I have to go with something I know how to use and I can understand. Anyway, back to the summons. I don't know if they have the resistances necessary. Spells this one. To actually tank greater threats. Like I said, between the mana management and trying to get the... Remember how I said once you have class promotions active, getting your build online is just that much harder? Remember, you now got a new passive and a new active skill that you have to, that you can get augments for. As a result, that's at least 3 to 4 new possible pop-ups that could interfere with you getting your build going as soon as possible. And considering that you can skip into the deeper parts of each level, that's especially bad. As things stand, I'm probably better off not going with the Citadel skip and instead just skipping the totem fight, assuming the totem is even there to be fought in the first place. Just doing the totem fight skip, and then dealing with the face boss, which I really don't want to because of the frame lag that happens. But in order to get that, the entire point of what I was saying is that to get the investment you need, you have to play the game for longer. Your runs become longer because you need more. Do that there. Because you need the extra opportunity to get the augments for your skills. As such, that's why we're going to do that with this particular run. I don't want to, but we have to. So, anyway, I'm not going to go into this class just yet. So, that's my main problem with the summoner. But it doesn't get much better with the others. Well, actually it does. With the soul class promotion, your only actual concern is staying... Actually, the soul of them, the soul class promotion is the best one. Because it's basically just more of what you were doing before you got access to the class promotions. So you just become better at AoE mobbing, which is great. I don't really have any complaints with it. Like, at all. There's nothing I can think of. Then there's the Chaos class, which is interesting because you can create up to 4 chaos portals that then create energy beams between them that also deal damage. The only issue is you don't really get a lot of movement going, so it's hard to space out the portals themselves. You have to actively keep in mind that you need to space them out so you can create a good kill zone. Out of the 3 classes, that's the second best, and the summoner, maybe I just need... I don't... Keep in mind, my point of view on these class promotions is based entirely on there being maybe one extra level of investment, because the levels for them are way more expensive than for the base class. So we're looking at between no and maybe 1 level of investment. And if they aren't performing at that from the start at a good enough level, it's not good. So I don't want to try, as much as I love being able to summon things, and you have a gargoyle and you can summon extra things. As much as I would love to be able to say, maybe it's better with more investment, I shouldn't have to look at it like that. This is a level 10 class advancement, and if they aren't good enough at that point, I can't give them a pass for that. Projectiles gain a chance to unleash... Ooh. Yeah, we'll go with that. Anyway, as I said, I can't give it a pass based on what it might be able to do. I have to evaluate it based on what it does now. And the summoner is just not as good without investment. And I can't say whether it'll be better with it either. All of that would just be an assumption. overall, like I said, the other two classes are pretty good. I just wish Summoner was at least as good as those other two from the start. And as things are with whatever may be coming, whatever games may be releasing in the future that we may shift to after this is done, well, when the time comes, I may not have the time to get to it, so I'm just going to be, I'm going to be stuck with the opinion that the Summoner class just isn't good. Which sucks, because I want to summon things. Summoning is cool. Okay, so with that out of the way, we can get to what we're doing with the Sorcerer. And that is, we are running the Ice Sorcerer class promotion, featuring pretty much all skills that do ice damage. I was running a fire build for the longest time using the fire class promotion. But don't get me wrong. I love the fire class promotion because the dot damage is just more DPS. So even if your fire damage isn't doing a whole lot, you're getting extra DPS to compensate. But the fire class promotion features a literal firewall, which just reminds me so much of what is it? Which reminds me so much of the wizards in Ragnarok Online. I think I had pretty much every class in Ragnarok Online. So yeah, in that game, the wizard only had a firewall that was 3 wide. So it would literally be one here, and one here. They'd be a pretty big size, so it's not like they didn't cover a decent enough space. And because they also had knockback, when the enemy took damage, assuming the enemy could be affected by knockback, you could effectively trap a group of enemies in a firewall, in a box made up of firewalls if you had a low enough cooldown, and then just bombard them with spells for easy farming. Or you could put yourself inside of a firewall to protect yourself, and then just shower yourself with. In that game, they had a spell. I think it was Storm something, and it was a massive AOE that would deal ice damage. And you could basically surround yourself in firewalls and then just use that AOE, that large AOE spell, and just obliterate enemies. And it was great. So I thought I went the wrong direction. So basically, the class promotion for the Sorcerer features a firewall that is actually massive. If I were to drop it, the firewall drops in the direction you're facing, but there is an augment that allows you to move it or drop it at a distance in your facing direction, following the same rules. And it's akin to the fireball for the wizard, where once you press the button, it brings up the targeter, and then you move it with the right analog stick. It's extremely cumbersome, to the point of being detrimental. I was in a fight against the two skeleton bosses, the one that's a warrior and with the other that's a mage. And I kept trying to drop the firewall at my feet to drag the warrior into it. But because it would only bring up the reticle, I couldn't do it in time. And I'm just also constantly trying to drop all of my other damage. Well, not that. I don't use the glyphs whatsoever. The tome I have is literally just a stat stick. It has spell power on it, and that's the only reason I have it. But what was it? Right. I kept trying to drop the firewall at my feet and lure him into it so I could DPS him with that. But because I have a set thing I do in my head with my abilities, I would immediately fire this off and it would cancel the targeting. So I would never get the firewall to drop. Aside from that augment, the firewall is actually really good. For enemies in these early areas, you literally just drop a firewall, and if your character has the stats mine does, enemies just walk into it and die. Which means you save so much mana. I have no complaints about the fire class promotion for the Sorcerer. Now, you've seen what the ice promotion class, or the ice class does for the Sorcerer, and that just lets you shoot out those. Nothing special. The augment for it that I picked up allows me to... Perfect. The augment I have for it allows me to... You gain a chance to block physical and ice damage when blocking a single shard. No, you know what? I'm trying to read this. It doesn't really matter. We have to get that. For the mana regen, we have to have that. Without mana regen, this class becomes absolute suffering. One thing to note about the firewall, though, is that it won't, against particular enemies, it won't go through them. And that'll cost you your DPS. So against, like the plant boss, the firewall was not effective at all. However, I eat the plant boss all day long, so there's no real issue there. Oh, by the way, I've upgraded the tavern, so now we get 2 drinks. The only other drink the only other drink that's actually worth using is the one that grants you a 50% chance to take 35 damage instead of taking on curse stacks, which is going to be useful. So that and the spell cooldown and cast speed, I think, drink is the only other one I have, and that's because it's currently the only one. Why are you here? It's the only other one that matters. Eventually, we will get to the point where I can literally just cast this as our main damage spell without having to worry about my mana. As it is, I unlocked a new buff from the chapel, that instead grants minus 25% mana cost. So that's why I'm able to spam as heavily as I am without concern. Between that and the mana regen that we have naturally, Blessed Bread, I think that's for dealing more damage to the undead. I did not expect to see a blueprint here. Static. I don't know what that's for. Interesting. I've never seen wolves just... Were they always there? I didn't notice. Speaking of didn't notice. Okay. I've done some minor upgrading to the stats for the Sorcerer, so he's a little more resistant to elemental magic and things like that. Well, the elemental damage in general. My main concern is fire-based damage, because dot damage is a pain. Even with as tanky as I can get them to be, it's still pretty freaking difficult to make it so... Hold on. It's still difficult to make it so that certain enemies can't literally just burn us to ash with a couple stacks of fire damage. I like being able to do this frequently and not have to worry about my stack or my dash stacks. Okay, just die then, I guess. Right, so that's the report on the fire class promotion. Good stuff. Has weaknesses, but for the most part, it is just more of what the Sorcerer does well. And it feels good and everything, as long as you don't get that one augment I mentioned. Then we have the Ice class here, which is... I'm only playing it because I'm curious to see what the augment... I was curious to see what the augments for it would end up being. I mean, having a chance for your damage to then result in, well, for killing an enemy with it, with your Ice Nova. Yeah. With your Ice Nova, to then spawn more Ice Novas. Hold on. There we go. I have to remember to keep an eye out for those. Anyway, having a chance for the Ice Novas to spawn more Ice Novas if it kills an enemy is great. The only issue is that the chance maxes out at 20%. Which is... I didn't expect it to bounce off of. Okay, we'll just have to do it that way then. I'm also trying to get enough money to fund upgrading the next classes we're going to be using. I'm thinking of starting with the Hunter next episode, since it's going to be I think the next game I'm looking forward to is coming out Wednesday. So we'll at least have something for a few more days. Well, we'll have this for a few more days. I'm hoping that at least by the end of the month, we'll have something new to do a playthrough on. Not like I'm not enjoying myself with this as it is. Definitely that. And that. So, the reason I'm not still playing the Fire Mage now is because I died to something stupid. Which, I mean, if I didn't die to something stupid, I wouldn't die at all. Oh, there it is. And so the main thing I'm doing here is just trying to collect money for upgrading the Hunter, so he doesn't start with absolute baby stats. Which will help him go the distance, so we can get him to level 10 and see what his class promotions look like. Unfortunately, level 10 will not be possible in the first video because it's not like I'm going to, after this video is done, go switch to the Hunter and start using him to get him close to that. I got out of bed late today, so there's not going to be any time for extraneous gameplay. Killing enemies with ice skills have a chance to trigger an explosion dealing ice damage. Okay, I'll take both of them. If I had taken that first one, it would be removed from the augments list every time we get a new one, a new opportunity to select one. And I would love that. And it will probably be the next one I select if it comes up and there isn't something better like apparently the Sorcerer does have an augment for healing, which is great. Oh, we're done? I was just screwing around using the Frost Nova. So, the third, yeah, I couldn't see the last episode. So, the third class promotion for the Sorcerer is the one for Lightning, which isn't bad. It's just the Lightning has a charge-up time, and it's literally only 1 second, so it's basically nothing. But that's time you're not doing damage. in order to release a burst. Oh, we don't have. We lost all of them to that frost tower. Nice. Oh, by the way, I realize now I haven't shown off what this class promotion offers. So here we have Frost Nova, shoot frost shards in all directions, stealing ice damage. Then we have Ice Mastery, and this is basically the exact same for all of the other element classes. Ice Mastery grants you a chance to inflict freeze when you hit an enemy with ice skills. It apparently does not trigger on weapon attacks, even if the element is the correct one. And this, I'm pretty sure, applies to pretty much any class, or any of the element classes for this. This is fine. For the fire class, it would inflict weakness and reduce the enemy's damage output, basically making you sort of a warlock-ish class. But the chance for it wasn't guaranteed like it is with the warlock. And even though the warlocks is an aura in a radius around it. But this is for all of the element classes for this, for the sorcerer, it's only ever going to be 10%. There is no changing that. It is always going to be 10%, which sucks. And then there's that as well. Oh, right. For the lightning class, the mastery passive it stuns enemies. So they all let you do more damage with the particular element. But then you also have a bit where they inflict a unique status effect. I don't mind the freeze. Use this. I mean, I do love my CC. Right, so for the lightning class promotion, we have, what is it? Ah, right. Like I said, you basically gain, your active skill is a ball of lightning that you channel, charge, and then fire. I don't know how it works because I haven't used it. It was basically the least attractive of the options. I knew fire was going to be good, and at least I was hoping it would be because, DPS. That. And I don't know if it'll pass through enemies or stop on the first one it hits, which does not interest me if it doesn't. But the only way to know is to look into it, and I'm also intrigued by what its augments might end up being, which is why I'm tempted to test it out, though I don't have the time for that right now. 10% damage reduction. I'm really curious to know what the rogue is going to become capable of. I don't remember what level I left him on, but he's pretty close to 10, probably 5-ish. I have to keep an eye on walls for larger areas like this. Just in case. I wonder if the minions can crit for the Warlock. I wonder if his minions can crit. If they could crit, they'd be that much better. But I don't have any investment into that sort of a thing. I don't know. By the way, in case you ever see this green here on walls and things like that, it's because we drop caltrops when we dash, so you see them there as well. That's the wrong way. Really? There were no... I'm sure there was one breakable wall, but I'm not going back through the area to look. So now basically this build is just focusing on ice because that's pretty much the majority of what my equipment is. Once we get enough mana regen or restore from crits, I'm just going to be able to basically hold the basic attack and spell button and the ultimate spell button as well, and just deal damage like that. Adaptive. Who sets up a bed in a dungeon, by the way? Not even a dungeon, a crypt. I don't remember what crushing is. Oh, maybe I should. So, let's see. There we go. So this is our wand. It has weapon crit chance on it, which is probably the correct stat for this. Since we learned last episode that weapons and, well, weapon damage is considered completely separate from your skill damage, which saddens me greatly, more than you could ever imagine. There we go. And it took me a while to get a good circlet, and then when I did, I took it down to the enchanter, and whatever was on it before was completely wiped by upgrading it to rare from uncommon. And then I gave it powerful for the extra spell power. Pretty much the same deal for this thing. I put powerful on it because it's just the stat stick. It's only here for the crit chance and the weapon, the spell power. Same deal for this. I grabbed this as an uncommon, made it a rare, which gave it, well, it used to have health on it. I think it was 52 health, which would have been really nice to have, but I'll eventually find that enchantment. Or not, if we finally get another game to do a playthrough on. But for now, we just have a lot of defense, weapon attack speed, and spell power. And it's also upgraded 6 times, so there's that. Pretty much the same deal for all of the gear. Spell power, crit chance wherever possible, cast speed. I found these and I couldn't wear them at first because it requires 63 intelligence. But they are so much better than the original slippers I was wearing because they only gave 15% or 5% spell cost reduction. Now we have 15 on top of the 25 from the potion, giving us 40. Yeah, that's pretty good. I wish it didn't have the lightning resistance on it. I wish that was health or spell power, but eventually we'll get an enchantment that we can replace that with. I might have actually been able to replace that now that I think about it. Oh, that's what static is. So we picked up a blueprint for the static enchantment earlier, and it gives lightning resistance, so we know that now. The enchantments are broken up into 2 sections. There's before of, and then there's what follows of. And basically recovery, the recovery that follows the of and the name of the equipment, is the minus 10% dash recovery time. The static, which comes before of, is the lightning resistance. So I'm pretty sure I could have removed the lightning resistance. There's not a single enemy I'm concerned about that deals lightning damage. I mean, there are the towers, but they aren't a big enough problem. They die relatively quickly. The real issue is fire damage. Anything that deals dot damage is a threat. And fire damage is the worst of them, and most common that enemies use. So I'd be happy if it were fire, but it's that. And then we have the quickening simple robe that I'm pretty sure we've been using this entire time since Rick. I do have one more. I do have one more scroll for, what is it? I have one more scroll for a dungeon that we can use the Griffin to access. It's weird. I've been through a couple of boss fights and other areas where they should have dropped, and it didn't, which is kind of upsetting. As far as equipment that we're holding on to for whatever reason, just minor junk that is here to be sold, and this is here because I wanted to test things. Also, this has a 15% chance to inflict silence, which was noteworthy. I don't remember if I found this. I think I found this in the shop, and it might have been uncommon. I don't have any memory of seeing rares all that often. I literally only remember seeing one. And then these are the original slippers we were wearing. I do kind of miss that vitality and evasion, but yeah, there's nothing too special in here. It's just other stuff we're holding on to for whatever we might need at any point in time. I probably should wear that cloak with the gold gain on it, since that's primarily why we're bothering to do any of this at all. Aside from just being able to see what the ice itself, the ice promotion is capable of. Getting whatever gear and XP we can manage as well, because, you know, that'll never hurt. Now, the other classes are going to start with more extra XP and skill points. No, not XP, but skill and stat points, because, well, I've been a busy bee. Also, I keep forgetting just how much damage my weapon does, especially once we have the buff going. Before we go any further, let's make sure to get this. Deadly Fire Tome of Confusion. Okay. Okay, that's 15% crit damage. So, crushing must be physical crit chance, or weapon crit chance, something like that. The fricking. I still got 4 potion charges. So I have been able to make it back to where the warlock finally died those 2 episodes previously. That's not a very good way of phrasing that. I have reached the area where the warlock died when we had that 3-hour run 2 episodes ago. I don't mind killed enemies exploding. That's pretty good. I'm not keeping an eye out for breakable walls, by the way. Not concerned with that. Yeah, let's get that out of here so it doesn't show up anymore. Since it's that. And since it's a decent augment itself, I don't have a problem with picking it again. Oh, hold on, hold on. Ooh, spell crit chance. Still haven't even been able to upgrade the lifetime of the orb itself, which sucks. Did we check this guy's inventory? Yeah, I remember complaining about him having a bed. Here, hold on. There's a... How did I miss that? I mean, since I'm here, I can check the walls. I missed that. I really do. More important than the money, even because we were, if I'm not mistaken, we were already at like 50,000. Didn't have a reason to spend a whole lot of money, I don't think. So we have a pretty good amount. I just want more. No, we haven't. Oh. I accidentally used the potion. Ooh, hold on. Can restore that potion charge. Ooh, I accidentally used 2 of them. It's actually so much worse. The issue was I tried to dash in. Let me make use of the bird while I'm here. I tried to dash in and press the switch. It didn't go quite like it should have because I hit the wrong button. This is the face, which we shouldn't die here. We have enough potions. We should not die here. Whatever you've been hit with, it's I don't know if dot damage all presents the same, but it looks like when we're poisoned rather than when we're on fire. See, now it's starting to frame lag. But for having no healing, for some reason we're still at full health, and I don't understand it. Oh, killing the mobs also contributes to hurting the face. I did not know that. I didn't know that. That is actually extremely useful information. I prefer I think the chance to slow is only when the glyph itself is used, which is kind of stupid because it already slows when it lands. Also, yes, I did not use Frost Nova because, oh right, there's also a Frost Nova skill in Ragnarok Online, but you have to be a high wizard to get that. Anyway, right, I was going to mention why I didn't use Frost Nova. I didn't use it because I don't want to be surrounded, which is the only way to really get use of it from what I see. I promise, it sometimes feels like your first skill actually penetrates enemies. It feels like it penetrates them sometimes. So maybe it just deals its damage. No. What I've got on now is not only epic, but it has better, more useful stats. So that'll be worth selling. I wish I could rip the enchantments off of it so I wouldn't have to look for them. But whatever. That is an enemy that is in the wall. Oh, look at that. And here I was looking for a breakable wall. Didn't even notice that. More resistances. Where's... Oh, there it is. No secret walls there. Elemental orb. it's more damage. The damage is inconsistent, but it's about as inconsistent as it is with the crit chance, so why not, right? Can confirm there's no secret room in there. Maybe every once in a while I should just pop a Frost Nova in an area I haven't been in. I really need more mana regen, though. All of a sudden, I like really enclosed areas. Frost Nova becomes so much better. You see there? It looks like it penetrated them and hit both of them. But I'm pretty sure what's actually going on is that it's hitting... Yep, just block those arrows for me. I'm pretty sure what's actually going on is... more health and mana. Is that it deals its damage in a very small AoE. Probably as a quality of life thing. Instead, I just took damage and got 7 curse instead. Not bad. You have anything new? No. I was hoping that it would get new stuff and then I could just keep filling out the bills. But I guess, I mean, I understand how disgustingly broken that would become. As far as I know, the secret rooms never curve off, so it's probably not going to be on any corners. I'm sorry. What? I just saw the projectiles go through the wall. Been everywhere? No. There's a buff thing down here. I do not recall seeing it. Okay, good. I'm just glad it wasn't XP or anything, because it would have been a wasted opportunity. I actually do appreciate Frost Nova. I mean, in an open space, it's not very good, but it is really useful for opening up secret rooms. I don't even really have to think all that much now. Just walk into a room, drop that. Walk into a suspicious hallway, drop it. That one. Give up the weapon crit chance. Yeah, I actually prefer that. Yeah, this one. So I traded in 2.5% weapon crit chance in order to get a scaling +3 health and mana based on every trinket we have in our inventory. Spontaneously shoot fireballs at nearby enemies. What is this? Ah. You know, if I really paid attention and didn't have to, as a mage, fear for my life every second, because if I get surrounded... Oh, speaking of getting surrounded, you remember the 3 snakehead, the skeletal snakes? Well, I fought them with the fire class promotion, and it was such a bad time. But I did realize something important. You can damage them while they're just running around, and it's more effective when you're a mage than when their heads just popped up and trying to attack you with, all manner of things like they usually do. I also noticed, and died as a result, that they will try to surround you. They would try to coil around you. And if they do that, you are dead. You are a corpse, because, Ronnie, I think that's the health enchantment, which I would not mind getting. What else? Right. So, I was fighting them with the fire class, with the fire promotion, and it went so badly. It was going fine at first. I was figuring things out. I had potions galore. Easy business, right? And then one just managed to sneak itself around me and trap me in a coil. It literally just coiled itself around me, and I was trapped. While one of the other snakes popped up and then just DPS'd me. That was horrifying. So that's the thing I need to keep in mind from now on. When I'm dealing with them. Basically, if I just stay on the move, we should be fine. If I forget to stay on the move, it was also part of the latter phase. I think it had a quarter of its health left. So that was probably just a move it had for that phase. But still, that was a horrible way to go. And I only barely saw the crack for this secret. I only barely saw it. I know there's a potion refill here, so if things go weird, I know we can at least deal with it. I need to go this way. I also need to go north. There's something up there. First, yeah, getting the headhunter contract early is such a gold mine. It's so good especially for making money, which is the entire point of it. That you should probably skip pretty much anything else that isn't absolutely build critical. I like being able to check rooms with a single spell. Okay, whatever. At least getting out is a lot easier when you have minions, because they just block all of the shots. That's what I was trying to do on the way in, but because I would have to backtrack, it turned into a mess. I don't mind taking the damage. It's not like we're at any real risk of dying. We have 500 health and currently sitting at 350. Anyway, if I were really paying attention, I would probably be able to more easily predict where I should focus my attention, like on walls like this, where there's a thick enough area between one where I'm facing and the far side. For example, like here, there could be one, but I know there isn't because there's nothing weird about the wall. Anyway, let's visit the bird in case I think we deal with the plant next. Also, I know I said this video was not going to be as long, and I failed. I accept that I am only human, and this game is good. Whatever. Oh, it's definitely the boss. I don't know what was the thing that was floating around out here part of it? Because it just started taking massive amounts of damage for no reason. I'm going to have to watch that back when I'm editing this, because, and I use the term editing loosely in this game's particular case, but that is so weird. It was at half health. Oh, I have to press the button. It was at half health. And then just for no reason at all, it just started losing massive chunks. I don't have anything that scales. Like, with the number of hits or anything. I don't understand. Blackjack and symbol of zeal for crits, which is perfect. Ooh, a venomous frostbite. Oh, and it actually has ice penetration on it. If only its damage wasn't actually garbage. That would actually be impressive. I mean, remember, we have... Well, that one doesn't actually have any stat stick value, but this one has stat stick value, and we stand to lose a significant amount of spell power if we trade it out. That being said, I'm going to trade it out just to see, and I know it's a bad idea.
No way.
Because I don't have any more slots. So space is literally what you can see. Got it. So we get rid of you, 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 and you. Anything single digit does not get to stay in my inventory. The only reason I had it was because I was going to sell it. But we did not die as fast as I was expecting. Weird. So right now I'm holding the left shoulder button, right trigger, and left trigger. And that's what we get from that. I saw no reason to move since I was in the perfect spot to just deal absurd amounts of damage to the guy or the thing. Not really a fan. Projectiles gain the chance to seek out new targets on hit. You join me forever. So now, the projectiles have a chance to create new novas on kill. And every single projectile has a chance to just look for a new target when it hits something. Yeah, there's definitely a small AoE on that. I'm still very perplexed over what happened to the boss. So now with this weapon, I've swapped to using the left shoulder, right shoulder, and right trigger buttons held down, while also occasionally pressing Y, because that button's not in a place I can use it comfortably, held down. Oh, I didn't notice this. Okay, not XP like I was hoping for. Because we don't have any form of lifesteal, which still confuses me about the freaking face boss. Because we don't have, I should not have picked that up. Because we don't have any form of lifesteal, I can't properly utilize the little circles that we leave on the ground. I see you. That'll restore my health when it gets below 50%. But it is not something I can rely on for long-term sustain, not without a significantly higher health pool. So I can't really utilize it either. That being said, nothing will stop me from trying. I see the wall. That's the second level up of the video. That wasn't too bad. That is for someone that deals physical damage. Probably the rogue. No, well, it'll be useful for the hunter too. Yeah, because he'll definitely have vitality. Probably not a whole lot, but we'll see how things pan out once we actually get into using the hunter. And see, once I'm in those crit circles, I just crit more, which means everything dies harder, faster. Oh, I hate this. We're not dealing with that. Chance to parry. On parry. I don't have enough of the trinkets that let me do that. Oh, I see. This has the alternate entrance, so that's where they would have wanted me to come in from. Instead, because I don't care to obey the rules, or the way they want me to do things, I take some burn damage. You know, I did not realize I had so many dash charges because of the buff that we picked up earlier. I completely forgot. I'm sorry. Oh, I thought it was going to appear out there. Yeah, here. Hold that for me. Yeah, I know I could have waited like I did the other time. I don't want to come back this way. Unless this is just where we're going. Yeah, we're fine. That's fine. Haven't used any potion charges. We're good to go. Found 2 secret rooms. Oh, goodness. So yeah, the Sorcerer is pretty strong. Actually, I'm going to be honest. The Frost Nova is way more effective than I was giving it credit for. Or than I had expected. Hold on. Than I had expected it to be. I do appreciate a good crit circle begetting another crit circle begetting another crit circle. How did I forget to go in here? Oh, I saw the crack in the wall, that's why. So the new way I'm trying to test out controlling this guy is just walking towards the enemy, and as you can see, the direction I'm facing changes with where the direction I'm aiming changes with where I'm walking. So I just try to walk in the direction of the enemy while also trying to avoid any of their attacks, projectiles, the like. And when I get low, I just heal back up to just under a quarter of my health. Or max health. So remember what I said about not really being able to outlast targeted damage? Well, at this point it's probably not entirely true. But once we get further in, it's going to be the case. No. This would keep it from showing up. Good. We only took a little bit of the Shadow Curse. Wow, I was hoping it would take the entire. I guess it's a 50% chance per stack you're going to gain, rather than per instance you're going to gain any stacks at all. So for 11, the percent chance, it's actually calculated for each stack in the 11 you're going to take, which not as great. I thought, for example, if you took every single stack, you were going to get like 50, and you roll a success, you just don't take the 50 stacks. Unfortunately, that's not the way it works. Arkham's Mace. Dashing across like that is a lot less feasible when you don't have full health and potions to make up the difference. Unexpectedly, the sheer amount of hits you get from the Frost Nova grant you a greater chance to trigger any crit-related effects, resulting in just being better, considering that this build wants crits anyway. Since the class itself wants crits. Somehow broke a box in this room from the opposite room. Okay. The boss is on the left side, so let's clear out the map on the right. God, that actually feels incredible. You just walk into the room and go, I see a bunch of guys that are going to die again. What did I pick up? I think it was an XP scroll. To use a potion yet. I also need to be watching the walls now that I remember. Broke you. The CC shutting down enemies getting close and trying to deal damage is actually incredible. Also, God, that cleared out the entire room in like a minute and a half with no real threat to my person. That's power. And yet, the Warlock is still stronger once his build is properly online. Yeah. See spell crit damage? That's better for damage. I should get this, but getting this gets rid of that as an option in the future. And that's more important. Our damage output seems... Whoop, I messed up. Seems okay where things are. This should be the undead snakes. Oh, I also learned that... No, it's not. I also learned you can destroy their bodies if you deal enough damage to them. The undead snakes. I'm actually going to go ahead and pop a potion because why not? I accidentally popped the second one, but we weren't really in danger. I meant to hit Y so I could use Frost Nova again, but that's fine. Powerful. Is this? Yeah, you can have. I don't know if there's a hunter class promotion that has magic. It's possible. Don't imagine so, though. Anyway, let's get out of here. See, that's 2 times we should have been able that a map should have dropped for an area we could for an instance dungeon, but both times got nothing. Also, we have 14 stacks of the Shadow Curse, and this is fine. Here, we'll be able to get rid of it. I'm pretty sure this is around where the pyres start to show up, so you can cleanse yourself of the stacks you've accrued. Though you typically want to hold off on using those until the very end of until you've cleared out the entire area, or at least a path to the end if you want to, for some weird reason, skip all of the monsters and any of the things that may drop from chests and augments you might find in nooks and crannies, trinkets you might get from breakable walls. You know, if you want to skip all of that and just head straight to the end, you could just use the pyre immediately and then skip off. I'm not going to do that, though. Nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us today. I'm assuming this run is 2.5 hours long. But thankfully, the editing isn't much effort. So typically with other games, there's a whole lot more editing involved, and the longer the video is, the more of the little tiny stuff that I have to deal with. There's none of that with this game. I do appreciate it for that. There is another game that's like this, probably, that has a slight MMO aspect to it, where you can, I think there's a hub area outside, like the town we usually start in, and except there's going to be other players there you can see, and then you can group up for running I think it's a roguelike dungeon, just like like I said, that's similar to this. That game also exists, and I was looking at it, but I only found that one after I started playing this, I think. Doesn't really matter either way. We're in Hammerwatch now. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves and everything you've seen here. We will be back tomorrow with another much shorter episode. And by much, I mean it's just going to be the usual 1 hour long episode. Because I need to start on watching the second half of my anime list. Is that the... I don't think list is really adequate to just how many there are for me to watch today, because I save them for the weekend rather than watching them throughout the week like some sort of a Neanderthal. And I've got a lot of them to watch because I started a little late yesterday, so I have to start earlier today so I don't have to watch the final 5 tomorrow, because I don't want to have to come home early just to have time to record, edit, upload, and then start watching anime. It feels terrible, and I want those hours. So, I mean, I want the extra hours for work. Where was I? Right, the outro. But yeah. Regardless, there will be another episode tomorrow. It will be shorter. Good lord. Nope, I'm not going to get distracted. We're at the outro here. We're very close. Just bring it home. And so, with all that said, we will see you next time.